page 5 that Mr. Hasselback just clarified. I was going to ask why, and I think he made it perfectly clear. However, maybe I can just add one more question in regards, and I think the information provided on the top of page 6, where it mentions that Mr. Adda prepared most of the documents related to the contract. Mr. Adda researched the precedent for privatizing ARRA management, drafted the scope of work, drafted the letter requesting for an opinion to the public auditor. And the report says that Adda said that he prepared and finalized the entire contract package, though when asked directly, he denied entering the name of his company on the final contract documents. Was there any, during the course of the investigation, was this particular concern in regards to who made that contract final with inserting of the company name ever?
I don't know that we ever discovered exactly who wrote the company name in the award block. However, having a current government employee prepare the documentation of a contract to that extent, and that government employee receiving a sole sourced contract, or that government employee's new company receiving a sole source contract, that is a clear violation of both procurement regulations and CNMI ethics laws.
And that's why I raised the issue, because in summary, you can go straight through this part of the report and know that the basis for having the contract null and void is all there, and I'm sure the other citations and issues raised throughout the report are, but that particular part of the report is a quick summary of what's wrong with this whole thing. Not only is the contract not prepared after the employee has resigned from government employment beyond the 1 year from separation, but here we have somebody who's still working for the government, preparing the whole package for himself and the company, and I find it hard to believe that the Attorney General doesn't find anything wrong with this. I'll guarantee you that if it's the next person does this, that I think I can fairly conclude that the AG's office would not hesitate to initiate some sort of action. The other thing is I know that the language or the report here was not specific, but I'm assuming that most of these, and I wish the report was clear on this, that these were done during government time. But the fact whether it was done on government time or not, the fact is that somebody who's still employed by the government is researching the potential for financial reward.
I think you point out a valid point, sir. And just to clarify, even if this was all done completely after working hours, without using government laptops or even a paperclip that belonged to the CNMI government. Even if all this happened in that way, it still would seriously violate CNMI procurement regulations and CNMI law. Because as you pointed out, at the time, Mr. ARRA was still an employee of the CNMI.
Are you, Mr. Chair?
Thank you, Representative Sablan. Mr. Hasselback, I'm going to ask again, do you understand why this panel has asked you to be present before us?
Yes, sir, I do.
And what the article we are receiving your testimonies for?
Yes, I do, sir.
Let me just state it again for the record. It relates to, Article 8 relates to corruption for the sole source contract to IPS. Now, corruption meaning the government, and particularly the governor. Now, we have listened to you and we have read the reports. And let me just read out. I know you're a lawyer, but maybe most of us aren't.
I'm still a human being too, sir. So
let me just read for clarification the definition of corruption based on Black's Law Dictionary. Corruption is an illegality, a vicious and fraudulent intention to evade the prohibitions of law. The act of an official or fiduciary person who unlawfully and wrongfully uses his station or character to procure some benefit for himself or for another person, contrary to duty and the rights of others. Mr. Hasselback, based on the report, the investigation rather, of OPA, and since you have a copy of the report from the Inspector General, do the actions of the governor as reported in the investigation, constitute corruption?
I have to admit, sir, that's not a question I was expecting to be asked today. But the only body that can determine that is the legislature of the CNMI. As the legal counsel of the Office of the Public Auditor, I can tell you that I believe that the contract that is the subject of today's inquiry by this panel clearly violated CNMI law. I can tell you, as the facts have been pointed out by the various panel members, that this contract was negotiated, fleshed out, and written by a government employee with the involvement and at the direction of the governor, while that government employee was still an employee. I can point out as well that, as several of the panel members have pointed out, that this was contrary to the duty to uphold the law that all government officials have. I can also point out that this is also contrary to the rights of others, because as some of the panel members pointed out, I'm sure there are other people who would have loved to have bid upon this project who were precluded from doing so. I am prohibited ethically in my position from offering you a conclusion of law based upon all that. I can simply point out the facts and say to you that yes, this contract violated CNMI procurement law. This contract violated ethics provisions of CNMI law, and the former Attorney General knew or should have known about it.
Thank you. And rightly so. I mean, he did, the governor did have a legal counsel. I'm trying to see where in here did he, I did state earlier that the former Attorney General did acknowledge that ethics concerns existed and that there was a conflict of interest. I don't think he disputed that. So let me ask you, maybe rephrase my question. Did someone benefit or receive a benefit and was that benefit procured through the actions of the authorities who were responsible for reviewing and approving this contract?
Yes, sir. I believe the benefit that was conferred was the awarding of the contract itself. This is not an insignificant amount of money. I don't have $492,000 in change in my checking account. I wish I did. That is a significant benefit for any company. And I think that the panel can get a really good idea of the government officials who are responsible for awarding that contract by looking at the signature blocks of the contract. I mean, it's the benefit provided was the contract. Those that provided it have made no secret that they provided it. It doesn't require my holding of anyone's hand to make that connection.
Thank you, Mr. Hasselback. Any other members? Ready? Thank you, members. Mr. Hasselback, thank you for your presence. Thank you for your cooperation.
I will see you at 1 o'clock this afternoon.
You are hereby asked to return at 1 o'clock.
Yes,
regarding, I believe, Article 10.
I will be there, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a nice afternoon.